How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Flesh and Blood video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today, our topic is not exactly flesh and blood. In fact, the topic can be applied to multiple facets of just life in general. Today, we are talking about goals. These are goals in just a very, very broad sense, the importance of goals, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of my personal goals for 2022. These are not like resolutions or anything like this. This is something that I've thought a lot about, and these are things that I just want to work towards and want to hopefully achieve, and maybe not achieve too, because sometimes the goals are beyond our grasp, and I think that's actually kind of important, and that's part of the discussion that we're going to have today. So before we get started, I do want to mention a couple things. If you are looking to pick up any Flesh and Blood product, you can definitely check out my affiliate link with Channel Firewall, but you can also check out my website, redzonerogue.com. I don't have any like booster boxes or cards there, but I do have excellent accessories, playmats. We're going to have more sleeves. We're going to have some Dragon Shield sleeves, more Red Zone Rogue custom sleeves over on redzonerogue.com. So please go check that out. Pick up a playmat, maybe our 10K celebration playmat. And we got some spice coming this year. I'm working with at least 2 Flesh and Blood artists for new custom artwork and a brand new character. So this actually goes into my goals. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to mention this, because the redzonerogue.com online store kind of goes into my goals and some just kind of smaller goals too. So let's talk about just goals in general, right? I think goals, I'm just going to come out the gates. I think they are very, very important for everyone, regardless of who you are and what you do for a living, regardless of whether or not you are still in school or if you're living on your own or you have a family. I think goals are very, very important for everyone because they give us something to work towards and to not always seek betterment for yourself. I know some people use it like that. I mean, that's what I do too. I always try to get better at the things that I do, whether it's playing, competitive games or making YouTube videos or whatever it is. Having a goal helps you facilitate that and work towards that. And like I said, I think they're very important for everyone, right? So even if your goal is something as simple as like make enough money to pay the bills, right? That's one of the base, like the most simple goals you can have. Or maybe it's like save enough money for a PS5, or to get a sweet cold foil Fabled, or to win the next pro quest, or to win the pro tour, or to become a content creator, or to go full time as a content creator. These are all goals you can have, and they're all very relevant goals, and they're all equally important too, because they give you something to work towards. Now, sometimes the goals are more mandatory than others. Like I said, like maybe your goal is just to make enough money to pay the bills. Or maybe your goal is something more aspirational, like, once again, something that I mentioned, winning the next pro tour. These things are both equally important, and I think they're important for the same reasons. They give you something to work towards and to achieve. And I think they're important for everyone. Like I said, regardless of who you are, wherever you are in life, they're very important. And I think it's really good to think about them, to just sit down and think about what your goals are, what you would like to achieve, rather than just kind of like skating on day by day. Because it's something that I, used to do, something I still kind of do. You can get into these bad habits of you're just kind of like skating on day by day, doing the same stuff over and over again, without, working towards your goals. And it's nice to have good relaxed days too, where you're not working towards something. But I think it's important that, you just sit down and kind of think about it every now and then. And so that'll bring me to the next topic, basically something that I want to share with you, just my personal goals for 2022, for Red Zone Rogue, and maybe for a little, some things a little bit beyond that as well. So the first thing that I've already alluded to is the Red Zone Rogue online store, and that is going to be in terms of the offerings that I'm going to have for that store. I've kind of thought a lot about it and what I want to do with the store and the direction I want to take with it, because it's now already established and I have a whole bunch of playmats there, and I think there's a little bit of saturation for the playmats, but I still want to do them because I love doing them and I love being a part of the creative process, making some awesome artwork and working with these amazing artists. And so with that said, we're going to have less playmats this year total, but they're all going to be amazing quality, made by either Flesh and Blood artists, 90% Flesh and Blood artists, or professional anime artists. And it's going to be just amazing. So with that said, I want to basically have 4 playmats this year, 1 for each quarter. We'll be revealing the first one when the art is done. I'm really excited for them. Like I said, I'm currently working with 2 Flesh and Blood artists right now, and they're some of my favorite artists in the game. Very, very nice people, and they're just absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to share the stuff with you. One of them is working with me to create a brand new character, and you know what? Let's do it. Let's show off the character. We'll show it right here. We don't have a name for her yet, but the artist worked with me to create this brand new character. I think she's awesome. She looks like she could be the hero of like an RPG, right? Like a fantasy RPG. If you have a suggestion for her name, by the way, let me know in the comments down below. We're gonna vote on it on my Patreon, and I'm just gonna pick my favorite names from all of the people's suggestions, and then we're just gonna vote on it on Patreon. And this is kind of something, this is a bigger goal, right? I wanna kind of make my own cast of characters, my own pantheon of characters that I can use for playmats or maybe shirts or sleeves and that kind of stuff, to have my own custom thing so I don't have to worry about copyright. And then maybe in the future it can become something bigger. I don't know about that yet. I've always toyed around with ideas of my own card game and some stuff like that. I talked about it in my interview with Zoglmann from Team Covenant, but I don't know. It's something that I want to do, and I love being, creating characters and creating new things. And so before you ask, yes, we basically have 2 characters now, right? Sort of 3. We have Katsumi, the mage, the sorceress, and then we have this new character, a warrior. The next character I want to make after this probably won't be for a while, but will be a male character. So in case you're curious, they're not all going to be female characters. We're going to have a cool male character, and we're going to diversify things a bit, which I think is going to be really cool, because I want everyone to see themselves or see something they like in the characters that I want to make. So we're definitely going to diversify things as we go forward, and not just for the sake of it, because I don't like doing things just for the sake of it. We're going to do it because I think it's cool, and we're going to make the characters really cool, and that's basically what I want. I just want, when you're looking at it, I want people to be like, that looks awesome, or like they can relate to it or see themselves in it, that kind of thing, because, I love that stuff too. And so that's kind of like one of the overarching goals that I was thinking about, limiting the number of playmats, working with these really great artists, and just trying to produce the best quality stuff that I can possibly do. And that's kind of an overall goal for Red Zone Rogue, is like, I don't need to be the first one out the door for anything. I want to be among the best ones out the door for anything that I do. That's kind of one of my overall things, one of the ethoses? I don't know the right word, multiple of ethos, one of my ethos for Red Zone Rogue. And yeah, and that's going to extend to other things this year too. So for other goals for the channel, for Red Zone Rogue just in general, one of the big things that I want to do is I want to show everyone that it is not only possible to play Flesh and Blood casually, not only possible to play Flesh and Blood inexpensively, but that it's an absolute freaking blast to do so. And how I'm going to do this is I'm not going to just tell people these kind of things. I want to show people that these things are true. And this is part of an overall goal of just growing the community for my favorite game, this game that I love, Flesh and Blood. And that's just kind of one of the core things that I want to do and I want to accomplish this year. The way I'm going to be doing that, we're going to be having monthly, I hope monthly, ultimate pit fight games with guests. We've already had one ultimate pit fight game and it was absolutely amazing. We're going to be doing more, and it's going to be really, really fun. We're going to try to improve upon it and make it the best it can possibly be. I'm also going to be sharing more budget options, more budget deck techs. We're going to be showcasing Commoner more often. So for people who don't have a huge budget to spend on this game, they can still get into it and still play it. Now, these are not from, the hyper competitive pro tour perspectives, right? I want to approach this from a more casual perspective, because I definitely think there's an audience there, and I think this audience should be highlighted and focused on more so than already exists in the Flesh and Blood community, because there's a lot of folks who talk about competitive stuff, but most of the players aren't going to be competitive players in the grand scheme of things. You're going to have a lot of like, at-home players playing at your LGS, skirmishes, with these really fun, weird, janky decks, or people playing formats like Commoner, or even just other, fan-made formats like Ultimate Pit Fight and that kind of stuff. So I want to showcase that a lot more. With that said, I'm still going to be doing like competitive deck techs, you know, classic constructed, blitz, that kind of stuff. But I think the other aspects are a little bit slept upon right now. And I really want to show everyone that these are aspects of Flesh and Blood, because after talking to some friends, like some close personal friends, even some like content creator friends, the sentiment that I get is like Flesh and Blood is too complicated, or it's too expensive, or, you know, this kind of stuff. And I don't think that's the case. It is if you want to play like at the peak, you know, #1 Pro Tour world champion level. But most people aren't going to be coming in at that level, right? They're going to be coming in at, you know, a very casual level. And I think the casual audience is going to grow and expand over time as Flesh and Blood gets more and more popular. So these are really important things that I want to cover and talk about. And I'm going to talk about, you know, fun interactions and goofy, you know, meme decks and jank stuff, like just some really, really fun stuff. Also, along that same vein, I want to have a wider variety of guests on the channel this year. This is just something that, once again, goes along with the other thing. I want to highlight other aspects of the Flesh and Blood community that I think are relevant and I think are important. And last year I focused a lot on artists, and I'm going to still be focusing on artists this year because I think Flesh and Blood artists are severely underrated. They're still underrated and they're so amazing. But I also want to get other members of the community on board on the channel to talk to you and talk about Flesh and Blood and maybe other card games that we really love, and just have a great time and broaden the horizons of what Flesh and Blood is and what the Flesh and Blood community is. So I've already kind of done a little bit of this. You've seen these things that I've already started to do, right? Because I've had Alice on, or maybe she's better known as Miss Chalice, a cosplayer, and I had her on to talk about cosplay and her, you know, experiences with Flesh and Blood and the community. And I'm going to have other community members too, and they're not all going to be like casual players. There's going to be like competitive players too. I've been talking with Dalen Mack, who is an NFL football player, and he's really into Flesh and Blood. He's really competitive, and he's really into that competitive side. And I would love to get him on, and by I would love to, I mean we're already talking about doing this. Get him on the channel and just talk about Flesh and Blood, card games, competitive stuff, and you know, that kind of stuff, and get more people's perspectives on where the game is and what it is. So those are my goals. These are things that I'm working towards, and there's like an overall goal here, like an overall arcing thing that I want to work towards, and that's just to build the community and make it the best community out there. I strongly believe it already is, but I want to make it bigger, you know, make it into a grander thing and show everyone how just awesome it is. And I would like more people to start playing the game. And there's no reason for that other than I love the game. It is my favorite game, and I just want more people to share in the joy that I experience with Flesh and Blood. We're also going to be covering a lot of other card games here on the channel. I'm probably going to be cutting back most of the TCG stuff and focusing on a little bit more board gamey stuff. It's hard to explain, but I'm going to be reviewing some board games that are coming up that I think are really, really fun, that I've already played. I've been playtesting them. And there's also things that I'm just really looking forward to this year that are TCGs, like Grand Archive and Sorcery. Those are my two most anticipated games of this year. I'm so excited for both of them for different reasons. And I'm also just really curious about how the card market is going to shake out with all of these new games coming out, how games like Genesis are going to fare in this new market, and if they're going to be able to carve out their own niche more so than they already have. For me personally, I do strongly believe that Flesh and Blood is already up there. I do believe there's no more big three, there's a big four. Flesh and Blood is up there, and it's here to stay. But beyond that, I'm very curious to see what happens with all of these other games that are here that are more transient, right? They haven't officially established themselves yet, like Grand Archive and Sorcery and all of these things that aren't even launched yet. So yeah, those are some of my, a little bit of rambling at the end here, but some of my overall goals for the channel. I would love to hear if you would love to share them, some of your personal goals in the comments down below. And these are things that, once again, I think are really important to talk about, or just to at least think about, right? And to set for yourself. And once again, they don't have to be as lofty as like trying to grow an entire community. They can be like growing your personal community too. It could be something like, you know, trying to grow your personal Flesh and Blood or whatever card game you're into community. It could be, once again, just trying to save up money for a PS5, or whatever it is that you're going to be going for. But I think just having a goal helps give us the drive to work towards something and to possibly even better ourselves on that journey, especially if you're the kind of person who works hard, like really hard for this kind of stuff. And I know I work really hard for this kind of stuff. It took me a while to get to where I am today doing content creation full time. And you know, that was a goal for me for the longest time. If we want to talk about that kind of stuff, like number wise, at the end here, I'll cover some just numbery stuff. All right, so Red Zone Rogue is currently at 11,000 subscribers, like 11.1 thousand subscribers. An easy goal for me would to be like 15,000 by the end of the year. That's an easy goal. I'm fairly confident we'll reach that. A better goal, well, not a better goal, but a higher goal would be 20,000. That's doubling our size. That was initially my goal going into this, but I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Let's set a goal that I think is probably unattainable. Like, we're probably not going to hit it. So my actual goal for this year for Red Zone Rogue, number-wise, is 25,000. Now that number isn't going to correspond to what I believe to be success or failure. In fact, like my big goal is to just get more people to play the game and to foster this positive and welcoming community. That's my actual goal. But it's nice to have like these number goals, right? So 25,000 is my big number goal for Red Zone Rogue this year. I appreciate all of the support. I appreciate everything so much. We are currently the biggest Flesh and Blood forward channel, and I'm honored to be where I am in the community, and I just want to help grow it. And I think 25,000 is a really nice goal. Also on Twitter, I've been tweeting a lot, like a lot. If you like Flesh and Blood and you have a Twitter account, I've been tweeting a lot about Flesh and Blood, a lot of little topics that I didn't think were worth a full video, and a lot of topics that will be expanded into full videos, like some cool interactions between certain cards and this kind of stuff. So follow me on Twitter. It's just at Red Zone Rogue. I'm at Red Zone Rogue everywhere, and I would like to get to 5,000 followers on Twitter this year. I'm currently at like 1,000 something, getting close to 2,000 maybe. I don't remember exactly what it is, but 5,000 is the goal for my Twitter. I found Twitter is a really great place to network and to actually like talk to people. So that's probably one of the best places if you would like to, ask me something directly or just hit me up directly. That's probably one of the best places. Even though I try to read all the comments on these videos, sometimes it's just hard if there's like a ton of them. So yeah, follow me on Twitter. Also, I have an Instagram. I barely post to it, but people keep following me on Instagram. So I have an Instagram too, but the main places here on YouTube and on Twitter. There's some other things too coming up this year that I'm really excited for. We're gonna have some returning guests from last year that were big, like big. And so if you can think of those names, they're probably gonna be returning this year. One for sure. I've got one for sure, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think this is a guest that a lot of people out there really like and respect, and he's a personal friend of mine, so really excited to get him back on the channel. Other than that, just thank you so much for watching and sharing this discussion with me today. I wanted to kind of step back a little bit from all of the cardboard and just talk about life goals in general, because I'm not like this, self-empowerment kind of person, a lot of times I just kind of like sink into my own little thing and just play my video games or do my cards and that kind of stuff. But I think it's important, and thank you for joining me today for this discussion. Once again, regardless of who you are or where you are in life, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you like the discussion. I'll catch you next time for some more Flesh and Blood content, other card game content. We got a lot more Flesh and Blood stuff coming up very soon. I have some ideas for some really sweet videos, as well as a ton of Everfest stuff. So I'll catch you next time. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you then.